Yo, what is up, people? Welcome back to the No Gimmicks podcast here on the DFPN. We're coming off a good weekend, good couple days here so far in the week. Thanksgiving is upon us. If you celebrate that thing, so everybody's going to be cooking, spending time with family. Hope y'all enjoy it. That's for us. We got you another great episode. Before we get into it, let's go over our sponsors. Shout out to the Plugs Earbuds, www.gettheplugs.com. Also, Fiverr. Shout out to them as well. Shout out to the DF Patreon. We got a whole bunch of new stuff coming. 2 new podcasts on the way. They will be making their debuts here on the Patreon shortly. So we just worked out logos for one, intros for the other. So we're moving along fast. So if you are a part of our Patreon, you have 2 new shows coming to the Patreon. For everybody else, they'll be a part of our new season. So if you want to get in tune with those guys now, join the Patreon. Again, www.patreon.com/DatFeeling Shout out to our Dat Feeling family over at Bandcamp. datfeeling.bandcamp.com. New music coming from everybody, so make sure you go tune into that. And also go to spring.com, search Dat Feeling Podcast, get you some gear. To my co-host, the fearless one, Frankie D. What's up, man?
What's up?
I don't know, man. It's been a rough little go of it, bro. Rough go.
Absolutely. So we'll just basically start the show off. You know, we sometimes we have a format that we go by. We go by this, we go by that. But I'm just going to start the show off right now with talking about the untimely passing of Jason David Frank, who was he was a big part of my childhood growing up. I was a huge fan of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers back in the day.
Oh yeah, me too.
And, yeah,
me too.
I mean, who wasn't, right?
Right.
So to wake up, you know, I just gotten off work on Sunday morning, and I get in the house or whatever, and I'm chilling, and I'm scrolling through the Facebook, and all of a sudden I'm seeing stuff, and it was actually one of the guys, a mutual friend of ours, Tobias, had posted saying basically, I hope this isn't true, but I'm reading this and I'm like, what, you know, like what the fuck, right? So
right.
I'm going around searching all over Yahoo. I'm searching everywhere. Went on TMZ to try to find a story. I couldn't find it there, so I'm like, what's the deal? So then I go to hoaxes, you know, just type in hoaxes. And some people were like, oh, this is a hoax right now and all of that. But at the same time, like, okay, if this isn't true, then how come we're not hearing anything from the family? How come Jason Frank hasn't come up and said, hey, this isn't true of what's going down here? You know, and then I'm starting to hear other things. I'm starting to hear that it was a possible suicide that happened here and all of it. So we didn't know anything. It wasn't even confirmed yet until later on when it was starting to get confirmed. Now, a family rep came out and said, hey, this is what happened. Actually, she didn't say what happened. She just basically said that give the family their privacy so they can try to, you know, basically process the information, you know, process what's going on here, you know. So then later on, the story gets picked up by TMZ and everything starts to come out. Then, you know, several different actors from the Power Rangers TV show started coming out and they're, you know, having their tributes. I know Austin St. John, who was a Red Ranger, came out and said one. And I liked his because he kept it 100. He said, you know, we weren't best friends, we weren't drinking buddies, but you know, once a Ranger, always a Ranger, and all that. And Walter Jones came out. David Yost, who was the Blue Ranger, came out as well. Amy Jo Johnson, man, her video was heartbreaking. Just seeing her and she, you know, breaking down and all that. So It's affecting a lot of different people. It's affecting a lot of people,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because you would never knew the guy was going through a bunch of bullshit
Right.
until you read about what's actually going on here, and the fact that he was going through a divorce. And apparently, I don't know if you heard this or not, but apparently he got served divorce papers back in August or July at a Comic-Con.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
He was signing autographs or something at a Comic-Con, and somebody comes up there and serves him divorce papers. Had a lot of shit going on, bro.
Wow. Wow. No, I didn't hear about that, but yeah, and people like that, him, Robin Williams, like, and they live to entertain people, and yeah, they seem happy, and you don't know what everybody's going. You don't know what anybody's going through, really, but this one came out of left field, just like it felt like Williams. Like this one, just I didn't know. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah. And then the stories come out now. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but the stories actually come out kind of like a timeline of events that led up to it. And what was reported so far is that I guess him and his wife had agreed to meet up at a hotel here in Texas. He lived in Houston. And they met up. They had separate rooms. I guess they were going to talk and try to salvage this. People don't understand that they were married for almost 20 years. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a long time.
That's a long time. So
yeah,
I'm assuming they were going to try to salvage this marriage, try to salvage it. But apparently they got into an argument. The argument got so heated to the point where hotel staff had to come and calm it down and set the peace. So she had her room, he had his room, he went back to his room. Somehow later on, I don't know if he texted her or something, but she ends up back in his room. And they get into another heated argument about whatever. I don't know what it was. We'll never know. They get into another heated argument, and then he locks her out of the room. At this point, she calls the police because this was around 5 o'clock in the morning. She calls the police and says that she's concerned for his safety, that she's concerned he might do something to himself. So the police get to the hotel. They try to make contact with Frank, and he's not responsive to the door. They have the management open the door, let him in, and they found him on the floor. He had hung himself in the bathroom.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. That's heavy. That's some heavy shit, man.
Yeah.
And I just think like that's a sad end. That is a really sad end for someone who brought so many people so much joy. Because I'll tell you something. To be that age when Power Rangers came out, to where I can appreciate it and suspend my belief, and just for a minute, like, just watch this shit. It was amazing. This was an amazing time, man. It really was an amazing time. Like, you haven't experienced the joy of childhood until you see the Green Ranger fucking up the other Power Rangers in
That's what it was. That's what it was. That's what it was. Yep.
Bro, soon as he jumped in there, I was like, oh, he about to get him the business. And he did. Yeah. Had Megazord head on fire. Like, bro, this was awesome. He is the only person in Power Ranger history to have Megazord called on him while he was still small. Like, he didn't have to get into his own Megazord, bro. Like, he didn't have to get into Dragon Zord. It was like, no, we need Megazord right now because this dude is a problem.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I was actually just watching Green with Evil, the Power Rangers, the episodes. Green with Evil was a 5-parter that where we got introduced to Jason playing the role of Tommy Oliver, and just how he was, this nice guy in the beginning, and then Rita Repulsa puts a spell on him, and then all of a sudden he's just a complete asshole, and Kimberly's up there, and he's up there talking shit to her, and it was so well done. He played the character.
Oh,
It was only supposed to be it was only supposed to be temporary. That character wasn't supposed to last other than what they had for him, but they kept finding ways to bring him back. They had him as a Power Ranger, and then they did the episode. It was the green candle ran out, and they took his powers, and then they were like, no, the kids were like, they were getting like fan letters from Fox talking about my kids won't eat because Tommy's on the show. So
that's pain, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So they
pain.
This stuff, and they brought him back again, and then they just kept. I mean, they kept tweaking the Green Ranger as long as they could. They were like, oh, we'll now have we can turn this into the White Ranger. So they did the White Ranger, and then for the White Ranger, they went to Power Ranger Zeo, and then he became the Red Zeo Ranger. And at that point, I have to admit, at Turbo, he did the Turbo as well, Power Rangers Turbo. I tuned out on Turbo because they had that kid, Justin, played by Blake Foster. Blake Foster put out a thing the other day, too, on Instagram about Jason. It was sad to read. But they had him as a Power Ranger, had him morphing, and then he would get, becoming a full-size adult. I'm like, oh, fuck this, dude. I'm like, I was done.
I stuck around. I stuck around until they were like dinosaur. That dinosaur one.
Yeah. Like, well, what? Something. They actually so around that time, actually, it's kind of funny because the time that I tuned out there, okay, that's when this right here was created.
Yeah. And I think I tuned out around the same time.
Yeah, so I tuned in over there to see what was going on with that, and I never went back there. But I kept up. I actually. They did an episode, one of the best episodes ever of Power Rangers. It was called Forever Red, and it was on Power Rangers in Space. It featured all the Red Rangers, and it had basically Jason Frank was on there. He came back as the Red Zeo Ranger, and then you had Austin St. John come back as the original Red Ranger. Then all one fucking episode. It was.
I think I've seen that episode. Honestly, I think I did.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, that's some shit.
Oh, and Ranger. He came back as he once again came back as Tommy Oliver again. He came back later on. It was, and I actually watched the entire season of this. It was Power Rangers Dino Thunder, and he. I
remember that too. Yeah,
he came back as Tommy once again, revived the role, and it was he was doing the same on there. It was very good season of Power Rangers, and then he came back. Him and Amy Jo Johnson came back. Recently in 2017, they had a cameo at the end of the Power Rangers movie where they teased Tommy Oliver, the Green Ranger, if they hadn't done a sequel. So yeah.
And I hope they come out with that movie just in tribute to him, if anything, because. I was actually looking forward to a sequel to that movie. It actually wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't a great movie, but it wasn't a great movie. It wasn't bad.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad movie. So I was like, okay, I'll give the sequel a shot. Like, and they're bringing a Green Ranger out. Hell yeah, I'll give this.
Oh, they popped. People saw that. That was a pop.
Yeah,
and it was a pop. Yeah. It was a pop showing you basically just how much that character meant. It's kind of like how like you say the name WrestleMania sells WrestleMania. Well, the name Tommy Oliver, the Green Ranger, sells Power Rangers. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that is very much true. Yeah, just the fact that like when I heard he passed, I was like, man, that's fucked up. And then immediately the memories started coming in, like watching it and then going outside to try to mimic this shit. Somebody got to play the putty. It ain't gonna be me.
Yep. We did. I had all the toys. Fucking had the power. They had some Power Ranger gloves back in the day. I got those. I got when he became the White Ranger. I got the Saba sword, the damn sword that used to talk. I had that shit. Never could get my hands on a dragon dagger, but I'm working on that now. to get one of those. And a personal story for me. So we got the big Texas Comic-Con out here a few weeks ago, and one of the photo ops that I had was for Jason David Frank. And I got there, but somehow what happened was somehow the information didn't get texted to me as far as showing proof that I got it. So while I'm standing in a line trying to figure this out, it's the person on the PA comes and says, "Hey, last call for Jason David Frank." I'm like, "Okay, I better go," but I don't have any proof of this picture on the phone, so I miss it. That's when I end up going over. At this point, James Jude Courtney is over here, so I wouldn't get my picture with him. He was cool. Come back out, and I'm like, "Where the hell is Jason Frank at?" So he had actually, was going back to his booth at this point. His booth had fucking just people, dude. And I talked to a security guy, explained to him my situation. He was like, "Well, you go up there, he'll probably just take the picture, honor it or whatever." Then I'm hearing a different story. Oh, this might be a price difference. I'm like, well, I'm already tired, bro, because we were in traffic for like 2 or 3 hours to even get in this bitch. So I'm out. I'm ready to go. So I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. So make a long story short, I didn't get a chance to meet him like I wanted to. So a friend, I actually had this photo op that I had upgraded because I was going to do Halloween Kills, which was to meet James Jude Courtney and Michael Anthony Hall. I couldn't do it as I was intending on going. I was going to go to work the next day, so I couldn't make it. I passed it on to them, and they used it for something else. But then what happened is they actually went up there and got me an early birthday. They actually got me a birthday present was they went up there and met Jason David Frank, and he told Jason Frank about me and told him how I came up here yesterday to meet him, and I had missed him. And he was like, "Yeah, I think he's at work right now. Well, does he have video chat? Does he have all this?" That's what Jason was asking. And he goes, "I don't know." But the woman that represents the comment, we don't do that. We don't do phone calls, we don't do video calls and all that stuff. And Jason says, "I do." So he says, "Get him on the phone." So dude. So the friend calls me and says, "Hey, D," he's like, "I got somebody on the phone. Let's talk to you." It's Jason David Frank. So I'm like, "Holy shit!" So I'm on the phone talking to the guy, right? So he's cool as shit, talking to me about the movie he has coming out called I think it's called The Legend of the Dragon or something like that. And he, basically told me he appreciated me as being a fan of his for all these years and keeping up with him and all that. And he was really cool. And that's what he did for me. And then he gave me an autograph picture on there, put on there to Frank D and all that and whatever. And I got that over here. So that's my Jason David Frank experience. Like, dude took his time out and called me and all that and spoke to me and gave me an autograph and all that stuff. And that's just the kind of guy he was, man. He told basically the girl was like, "Oh, we don't do that." He says, "I do that." So basically, fuck you.
That's legendary. Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah.
So that's something that I will never forget at all. That's something I'm going to carry around with me forever. The fact that he did that for me. And he's awesome. I'm pretty sure, and in hearing stories where people have come up to meet him just to shake his hand and say, he was like, "Oh, you're here for an autograph or picture?" And somebody says, "I don't have any money. I'm sorry, I don't have any money." He says, "Oh, don't worry about that. And we'll sign an autograph for him for free and take a picture of him for free." That's the kind of guy that he was.
I've actually seen him do that he did it at actually I saw him, what year was this? 2018. We went to LA Comic-Con and it was him and the original Black Ranger. They were both there. And he was doing that. But me, I'm the type of person, like, I spoke to him, I was like, "Hey, what's up?" I spoke to him and I didn't ask for nothing because I'm just like I'm weird with celebrities. Like I'm like, you have your life, you're living it. I know you're busy. Like I'm not gonna bother you. I'm that type of person. Like you're just living life, man. Like Go on about your day. Like I've done that with countless people, and he was one of them. I spoke, make sure I was nice, keep it pushing. I know you're busy, but I did see him like take time out to like people didn't pay. He's getting autographs. Like he's giving them
He took
autographs.
the time out to talk to everybody. I saw that myself when I was
if
there.
a fan was interested in him, like he would give them his time, and I thought that was cool as fuck. Honestly, I really did think that was some cool shit.
Yeah, he is a real cool. Like if you know, that's the type of celebrity you want to be. Is one of them dudes like that. You know what I mean? Just a very humble guy. Just that guy was a Power Rangers. I mean, period. He was the only one. He's the one who's appeared in most episodes ever of the Power Rangers, and inspired not only the Power Rangers. He just inspired people to get into martial arts because he was a real martial artist. You know.
Yeah.
So he definitely will be missed.
That's funny. Cause like even like not even thinking about it, some shit I did like me when Tiana was a baby. Like I used to make the Tommy sounds like when he's in the Rangers and he's battling people.
Yeah.
Like me and her would play fight and I would make them sound like thinking about shit like that. Like and she copied me and Con be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you two?" Like and it's funny because thinking about it now, I'm like, that's hilarious. But yeah, definitely gonna be missed. Thank you for shining your. All right.
You might want to repeat what you just said because you froze there, partner.
Did I really? I said thank you for shining your light. Rest easy, and thank you for the memories.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And and it'll always be there. Everything he's done, it'll always be. That's the beautiful thing, really, honestly, about streaming, is that you can watch the Power Rangers pretty much. They have the first seasons on Netflix, but YouTube has every episode ever of the Power Rangers up there.
Yep.
So if you want to watch the Power Rangers, if you just want to escape the bullshit and just want to go back in time and suspend your disbelief, then that's the show to do it. I even have to. I watch it now, and I can even see. Yeah, that's the Japanese Iron Rangers over there, and I dig
it. Yeah, me too. All right, man. This week in wrestling history, we normally do on this day, but so much stuff happened yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So this is a pretty big week in history. Starting with November the 23rd, actually November 22nd, 1990. Survivor Series with the debut of one of the, actually, I'm just going to call it the most iconic figure in WWF/E history, The Undertaker. Debuted that night.
He sure did. Came out with Brother Love.
Yep.
And who knew?
Look at the size of that ham hock.
Right. Check out those drumsticks, baby. Yeah. I remember that. I watch that pay-per-view every now and again. So I definitely remember just people didn't know what to think of it, especially if you were a diehard fan at that time and you were watching WCW, you would have saw him on there as Mean Mark. So to see him come back and he's going to be this zombie type character, it was something new. It was something different. Something they probably would have done in Memphis. So it definitely worked. And who would have thought that him coming in at Survivor Series in 1990 and basically as the mystery man for Ted DiBiase's team, who would have thought and known that would spawn his career to what it is today? I'm sure as hell would have thought that. I would have thought, honestly, something like that would have been a flash in the pan.
Yeah, 2 months tops. But he
Right.
made it a career.
and then a year later to go on to Survivor Series 91 as a rookie. Still, you're in the main event with Hulk Hogan. You're wrestling for the WWF Championship, and you beat him, which is
You
no
beat
one
the
beat
man.
Hogan in the era, right?
Yeah.
No one beat Hogan in that era. Only Hogan only lost to a couple of people. You can put your name on that list as somebody that you beat the Hulkster in that era of Hulkamania. I think the only time he ever done that before was with White Warrior.
Yeah. You beat Hogan in the era of Hulkamania.
Right. Yep.
For the strike.
Well. It was the era of Hulkamania, but it's arguable. Hulkamania was kind of winding down at this point. This was like November '91, so it was definitely on his last legs in the WWF, and then we all know what happened later on when he got to WCW. The reason why the turn was made, but at this point, Hogan still had some juice, and to beat Hogan at this time when Hogan wasn't really jobbing anyone, and that includes Randy Savage, who we never jobbed to, which is crazy. That shows you.
Yeah, this is true. Also on this day in history, the first ever today is the 39th anniversary of the first Starrcade.
Yeah. And I believe that was headlined by Ric Flair versus Harley Race for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think it was in Greensboro, the Greensboro Coliseum.
Yes.
And that was the old Jim Crockett Promotions. That was the show. That was the show to be on. Before there was WrestleMania, there was Starrcade. And
yes,
it's just Vince just took that idea and Vince ran with it and created WrestleMania. Now imagine if Crockett had followed the steps that McMahon took for WrestleMania. How big would Starrcade have been on there? And I'm really surprised at this point too. And maybe that'll change, in the coming year. That'll change, because Triple H being a traditionalist that he is. Maybe they'll dust off the Starrcade name and actually put that as one of the pay-per-views for the premium events.
I hope so. I would love to see that come back as a premium event, just its own event, not like a NXT version of it.
That's what I mean.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, like Halloween Havoc. Halloween Havoc should be on the main roster. It should be a main roster show.
Agreed.
And I think he knows that. With them bringing the War Games to the main roster, I think War Games now is going to be a main roster. That's going to be a main roster match. I understand moving forward. Right. So because they need new footage for War Games. The only footage they have is for people who aren't even in the company anymore.
Right.
So, but let me ask you this question: is it really War Games if there's no ceiling on top of the cage?
No,
it's not really War Games.
No, it's a double steel cage.
It's a double steel cage. Yeah, the only authentic, if to be honest about it, the only authentic War Games match is Blood and Guts in AEW.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. But that's what War Games was.
Right.
4 sides of steel.
Yep.
Well, 5 with the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're surrounded by steel. And
the match beyond.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Damn shame that Cody's not there at this time right now, because Cody would be perfect to step into his father's creation and been on the team versus the bloodline. But yeah, we'll see.
Injury. I don't think Cody's coming back to a Rumble. Unless, because we've heard nothing about how his recovery is going, unless it's going super well and he's on some John Cena energy and that shit healed like Wolverine and he can get back in there, I don't expect him back at Survivor Series.
Well, you know what? Speaking of the Rumble, there's speculation, and we actually talked about this here on the podcast a few weeks ago. There's actually speculation right now that The Rock could be returning at the Rumble.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, and we kind of said it would make obvious it would be obvious for him to show up there because that's the only way you wrestle Roman Reigns is you have to be the winner of the Royal Rumble to go on.
Yep.
So unless Roman Reigns drops one of the championships, then the obvious
I don't see that happening.
Me either. And the obvious decision would be he's going to have to wrestle. He's going to have to wrestle the winner of the Rumble. Which if The Rock comes out at the Rumble, that we're gonna be there live. Alamo Dome is gonna fucking they're gonna blow the roof off that place.
It's gonna lose its collective shit. Me included.
Yeah. Yep.
Me included. You want to see a mark out? Let him walk out. At number 30.
Yeah.
Unless
number 30,
put him in there like
25,
like 19 or so, yeah, something like that. Don't put him in there early. But if you're gonna put him in there like 28, 29, 30. Those are your numbers. You know what I mean? Let him rumble around a little bit, get his feet wet, get the rust off, and win. And then now we're on the road to WrestleMania. So
I agree. And that's the only way to me, that's the only way they're gonna be able to do it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree. This will be the only way you can do that.
Yep.
So, yeah. Very nice this weekend. What?
You, sir, I was going to tell you, that's a very nice this week in history. But let's get down to the reality of wrestling right now. No gimmick and
let's do it.
Intended on Booker T, but so you got your comments here about AEW. So I'm going to go ahead and let you handle the next segment of the show. I'm just going to sit back and I'll chime in when I want to chime in. But you're the person that's keeping up with it, and you're the you watched the what do they call it, Dino Meat? You watched it, so you're right ahead.
Well, let's go Full Gear first. So, Full Gear. Overall, decent pay-per-view. We had MJF finally winning the AEW World Championship belt. Jamie Hayter winning the AEW Women's Interim at that time Championship belt. The Elite returned and lost to Death Triangle. Ricky Starks and what is his name? They had a great match. I want to call him Lance Hoyt, but Lance Archer. They had a very good match. The TNT title swapped hands. Wardlow is no longer the TNT champion. That match was a banger. It was him, Samoa Joe, and Powerhouse Hobbs. I was rooting for Powerhouse Hobbs, but it made sense to me that Samoa Joe walked out. I wasn't mad at the result. I wouldn't have been mad either way, but I think that was a very good match. Match of the night. Who did they open up with? Because I thought the opener was the match of the night. Whoever they opened up with was match of the night. Can't remember who it was, but
wasn't it the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory?
No, that was later. Later. But that was also a very good match. Keith Lee walking away from Swerve. That was a good match. That actually was a very good match. Even Nyla Rose versus Jade Cargill was a good match. There was no bad match on this.
Wasn't the first match the 4-way for the ROH championship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that was my match of the night, because that was a good match. The crowd was hot for it. And the only thing and I sympathize with the crowd on this. This was a long pay-per-view because by the time they got to Swerve and Keith Lee versus the Acclaim, you could tell the crowd had gotten tired because they're on the East Coast. It's already started late. And by this time, I think it was like 11 o'clock and you still had pay-per-view to go. But these were all good matches too. So they stayed in it, but they weren't as lively towards the end as they were in the beginning. They stayed in the matches though. Yeah,
that's the problem that I've talked about before. I can't.
Yeah, I know.
Wrong ass shit.
I know, and just knowing, but in my head, and even me in my head, I'm like, damn, this is a long ass pay per view. It is a long pay per view, but we still got great matches coming, and I think that's how the crowd felt, and you can kind of sense that, like. Damn, this shit's long, but these matches have been fire, and we still got more matches to come. So by the time they did Paige, Saraya versus Britt Baker, great match. The crowd at the end of that match was like, okay, we're tired, dude. Like, we're tired. Let's get through these matches. We'll stay here. We'll cheer y'all on, but let's get through this shit. And they popped for MJF. Like they came back alive when he came out. And that made that match great because that was a good match. And then they had Regal turning on Jon Moxley. Very, very well thought out. And then MJF at the media scrum, which I'm like, why are we still having these? He gave me a reason to like them again. He comes in guns blazing, goes off, walks out. I was like, okay. And then the rest of the media scrum was good too. So coming back from that to Dynamite, we saw a little bit of continuation. On Dynamite, what we did get on Dynamite tonight was we didn't get Saraya, but we got Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. They planted the seed for that. Swerve and Keith Lee looks like they're going to be going into a feud. Or either they're going into a feud or we may see a heel turn from Keith Lee. Either or.
I think Keith Lee is the babyface of this. Swerve is the heel.
Right. But we may be getting something out of that. Like I mentioned, Thunder Rosa was stripped of the AEW Women's title, and Jamie Hayter is officially the AEW Women's Champion, no interim attached, which sucks for Toni Storm. But it was time. It was time.
No, that interim shit is stupid. WWE never does.
Yeah, it was time. Champion. It was time. Like, she's not coming back anytime soon.
And he put that, and Tony, that's one of the times where Khan actually did listen to the fans. Because the fans were telling them, we're tired of this interim championship shit. He was like, oh, I think it's a good idea. No, dude, it's not. It's stupid, all right? It's dumb. I'm glad he finally did something with it. And actually put the belt on Hayter, and Toni Storm she'll probably go into a feud now, maybe so with Jade for the TBS Championship or something like that.
Something like that. But
the feud is going to be Jade Cargill. The feud actually is going to be Hayter versus Britt Baker. That's going to be one where
that's the feud.
They're going to cheer the shit out of Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter is going to probably end up being the biggest babyface female they have on the roster when it's all said and done. Because Britt Baker has heat. She has the heat of she just has that. She has that heat about her. Like in certain areas, Britt Baker is real over. In other areas, she's a real heel bitch, and that's what I like.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think that's going to be the feud to watch. But with this, AEW's women's division is starting to seem kind of stacked, bro. Like, for real. So you got
Madison Rain's
Jay
there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, she's there helping out with the women's division.
Yeah.
So, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's starting to seem a little stacked. So you got Saraya, you got Britt, you got Jamie Hayter, you got Jay Cargill, and then you have I don't want to call her Ember Moon, but
Athena, she just turned heel.
Athena, yeah,
she just turned heel.
Yeah, I love that heel turn. Love it. I love it. And then you got some up and comers in there too. So it's a pretty good time right now in the women's division.
Yeah, they got They got Kiera Hogan is there, and you have the woman I think they should be pushing. I think she's hurt right now, but we'll see when she comes back. Abaddon,
yeah, I think she is injured. And then you got Chris Statlander coming back.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's a pretty good division right now. So kind of excited to see what they do with it. You got some pretty good feuds in there that you can make, and you can make some good money with it. So
what was the follow-up to the Regal assisting MJF?
So that started Dynamite, and Moxley came out, called him out, and was gonna beat him up, and Bryan Danielson saved him. So he was like, he pleaded with Moxley. He was like, please don't. The man's got a bad neck. He's got some bleeding on the brain also. Like, this. And then he put, it was really a heavy segment. He was like, my dad had the same struggles as you. And when I had to figure out how to love my dad, this man was here for me. Please don't beat him up. You know what I mean? He was like, imagine someone teaching your daughter how to love you through. That's what he means to me. He's like, please don't beat him up. So as much as Moxley wanted to beat him up, he was like, run far away and never come back. So there's a lot more on the table with that.
So what did Regal do? He ran away?
Yeah, he walked off.
So what do you think is the outcome here? Because it's not obviously the Blackpool Combat Club is still a thing. But how do you have the Blackpool Combat Club without
Regal? Yeah, exactly.
But obviously
Regal's
still in the group. But he has to explain why he did what he did.
Right. We didn't get an explanation. We got a near beatdown and a walk-off.
So, there's so many money matches on the table there. MJF, Danielson, MJF, Moxley again, MJF, Castagnoli. I can't see MJF being aligned with the Combat Club.
No,
so,
I don't think he will be, and I don't think Regal will be, and I think it's probably Regal destroying them himself. Is what I think is going to.
Utterly makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like Stevie Wonder could have seen that swerve coming with Regal. But it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, because the seed was planted for that weeks in advance. But I also think the seed is planted for this to happen, too.
I think the seed is planted for Danielson to turn. Danielson never turned.
I think so.
He never turned face. So,
I know.
And Danielson is still coming out the heel ramp. Yep. He never turned. So I think that Danielson's going to be the one that's going to turn. I think we're going to see Moxley Danielson all over again.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be the Blackpool Combat Club, but I think they're going to be heels. I think they're all going to turn on Moxley.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I honestly think MJF is going to be in the Combat Club.
With no Moxley.
with no Moxley. Moxley has to now find a new group to go up against the group he was once a part of. Who do you got? You got Eddie Kingston there. You have what's his face from Pride and Powerful. What's his name? The dude that's one right now.
Ortiz. Yeah.
You got him. You get another guy. Go up against Combat Club.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be heels. Because obviously MJF, he's not affiliated with the firm anymore.
And you could take a Lee Moriarty out of there.
I don't know. Lee Moriarty is kind of missing me with that hair.
He can go, though.
Yeah, but he's kind of missing with that hair. Honestly, what I would have done is I would have took W. Morrissey and just put him as MJF's bodyguard. That's what I would have done.
I would have done that too.
He would have
more
just been
exposure.
Yep, been out there with him. This is my bodyguard, basically replacing Wardlow, what Wardlow used to do, and put him in there. And also when it comes down to the ROH situation, right? Why is it that Jericho's faced all these former world champions for Ring of Honor, but he has not yet faced Jay Lethal?
Him and Jay were, I guess, almost in a situation with each other, like team, I think.
Okay.
And I think that's why they didn't go there. Plus, he's a heel, and most of the people that he's facing are faces. Like Claudio, face.
Well,
Daniel Bryan at this point is a tweener.
Who?
He's not. He's neither.
Who?
Bryan Danielson.
Oh,
Bryan Danielson. Yeah, fuck you. But he's a tweener. So until he commits to turning on Moxley, I have him as a tweener. So
he never turned babyface.
He hasn't fully committed to being a heel either.
Guess we'll see. But I think that's where they're going with the story. I think that's why you saved Regal.
Maybe.
So I think they're going to, Regal's going to be obviously moving forward. Regal's going to have some association with MJF. And so as a Combat Club, they're going to listen to Regal.
Yeah.
You don't need Moxley. Moxley can be on his own. Moxley can go on his vacation you want to go on now. You can actually confuse Bryan Danielson with MJF if you want to now.
I could see this happening. And simply because you said the vacation. I could see Bryan Danielson turning on him and injuring him to where he's out.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And then you bring him back.
I could see that. And then you bring him back.
You feed him with Moxley, or you feed him with Danielson. You feed him with the Combat Club.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, yeah, cool. All right, man. Final thoughts. What you got?
Final thoughts is that we were all wrong about Austin Theory.
You are right. We need to touch on that. Yeah, you are right.
Yeah, I'm digging this version of Austin Theory, the rugged version. No longer taking selfies and doing that stupid shit. Triple H has transformed this guy and says, "Okay, we're going to drop everything you were doing because I think it sucks and it just doesn't work.
And we're going to do this.
And we're going to do this, and this is working out fabulous." Got my thumbs up. So we were wrong on that.
We were very wrong on that.
So I'm digging it. Digging that. Still not digging Dominic Mysterio.
What? I like
Not
Dom.
digging it. Not digging it.
I like Dom.
I'm not digging it, and it was a joke. He's out there beating Shelton Benjamin a few weeks ago. No.
I'm digging that.
I think
I didn't like that he beat
He is the weakest link. He is the weakest link in the Judgment Day. So
But
as long as
look at
they're,
this,
I
though.
like the Judgment Day, but as long as they have him in the Judgment Day, it don't work. It was a mediocre faction.
But listen real quick. In every group, the weakest link has always come out on top first.
What group are you talking about?
And look at the Shield. Who is the weakest link in the Shield?
That was Roman.
You thought Roman was? I thought it was Seth, and he came out on top first.
It was Roman. Roman didn't have the wrestling abilities of Seth Rollins. He had the promo ability of a Dean Ambrose.
But he had the look.
He had the look. But how long did it take for him to get that push? To where people finally accepted him. It took him a minute, exactly. After how many failed WrestleMania main events, to the point where now he finally found something that worked. And how did it work? It pretty much worked with them kind of copying kind of The Rock back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Is how it worked. So Dominic Mysterio is not on that level. He doesn't have any charisma. He doesn't have the same charisma as his father. He doesn't have the same wrestling abilities as his father or anybody who should be on the main roster. He's somebody who should be in NXT. Period.
I think Dom's getting way better. That's just.
I don't
think he's getting way better.
Nah,
I'm not going.
He's pushed on the main roster. When you got people that started off like Adam Cole, okay, Adam Cole and all these different cats that started off in NXT in developmental, but yeah, you have this guy get pushed in the main roster. That shows you right there some bullshit with the system. Now tell me
that was by association, and we've made exceptions for people in the past.
Okay, well then they need to make the exception for him and send his ass to NXT. So that should let him go down there and learn how to wrestle.
Now that it's a thing, a thing, yes. But there are plenty of people in Dom's shoes who didn't have the benefit of an NXT and went on to lead great careers.
He's not on that level, dude. He's not. I look at him right now. He's fucking Eric Watts.
Wow.
Except Eric Watts.
I don't think so.
Eric Watts and Ashley Russell.
I don't think so. I think Dom is holding his own. This is just me.
So. Yeah,
I think he's holding his own, and I think he's starting to step out on his confidence. This is just me watching it.
I'd like to see them go. I'd like to see 1 week when he's out there cutting a promo and they're not piping in the WWE Thunderdome. So let's see the no reaction he's getting.
That comes with time. Roman Reigns wasn't the greatest promo guy, and now he cuts awesome promos.
We've
seen that.
Roman Reigns is the WWE champion. I'm not talking about Roman Reigns.
Yeah, but there was a time.
There was a
time when Roman Reigns was not a champion, and Roman Reigns wasn't great on promos. There was a time.
And what did
Dom's
you do?
Time will come.
What did you do with somebody who's not great on promos? You gave him a manager. You gave him a mouthpiece. That mouthpiece was Paul Heyman.
Yeah. His mouthpiece just happens to be Rhea Ripley.
No. Besides
manager. He not his manager, but as far as the story goes,
well, he
leans a lot on her.
We're gonna agree to disagree on this one because I just don't see shit. I don't, and I haven't seen anything since he got there.
We'll have to agree to disagree because I think
sure will.
I think he's stepping out, I think it's all
covered up. I think it's all covered up by the WWE Thunderdome, and I guarantee you, in about a year or two, his ass probably won't even be there.
Wow!
He'll go the same route. He'll go the same route as Ted DiBiase Jr. when they thought he was going to be the next big thing too.
Wow! I think you're wrong. That's
I don't
just
know,
me.
dude. That shit with Shelton Benjamin really upset me.
I know it upset me too. I hated seeing him beat Shelton Benjamin. But
there's no fucking
in
sense.
the gist of things, A, it helped him. B, Shelton Benjamin made him look good in that match. And C, he benefited
Well, that's what you
from
do.
it.
That's exactly what you do. You're out. That's the whole point of wrestling is you're out there to make your opponent look better than they can make themselves.
And Shelton did a wonderful job getting him over. He did a wonderful job.
Yeah, well, I think, like I said, the dude should have been in NXT. That's just my opinion. He should have been down in NXT. There's plenty of cats out in NXT right now that could use there's a cat right now in NXT that could have his spot right now on the roster.
You're talking about Carmelo Hayes.
You damn right I am.
Carmelo Hayes deserves to be on the main roster.
You damn right he does.
That's a whole nother show. He deserves to be on the main roster.
Yeah, but you got him up here. You got him up here.
Game.
You got this guy here who's basically holding the spot because his last name is Mysterio. Well, it's not really Mysterio, but you know what I'm saying. Of who his dad is. And he's holding the fucking spot. Meanwhile, you got Carmelo Hayes on there who's been killing it in NXT. Because he got there.
All right, so let me ask you this question.
If Nick Hogan had decided to follow in Hogan's footsteps and actually became a wrestler, sports entertainer, and he sucked ass, I would be saying the same fucking thing.
Okay, point taken. But he goes to NXT, learns the craft, gets good really fast.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Goes to the main roster, no problem. Right? Okay. There's no problem there.
No.
Okay.
Because he paid his dues in NXT. He didn't pay his dues.
Who's to say he's not paying his dues right now?
Oh, really? What? Oh, yeah. Pay your dues on the main roster, kid.
Maybe he is. You don't know that. The man may be paying. He might not be paying the dues as in putting the time in and going through the development. He may not be doing that, but he could be paying his dues in other ways. He's not a straight up top star right now. He's not. But I think for where he is on the card, he's actually holding his weight. That's just me looking at it.
That's absolutely, and that's where we here on No Gimmicks we will agree to disagree because I just don't agree with that statement. I think that you got people like Carmelo Hayes down in NXT that have been killing it. And he's stuck down in fucking NXT. You got this guy up here who's up there because his fucking dad's Rey Mysterio. And let's be honest about it. He will never hold a candle to the career Rey had. Never, ever, ever.
Those are big shoes to fill. Those are
humongous shoes to fill. Just like I said, if Nick Hogan had got into the business, it would be humongous shoes for him to fill because you got to do everything better than Hogan did. You know, the only person that can be in those shoes, that can step up to the plate, that can be like sort of like a lineage and say, you know what, I did something, on the same caliber of my father. That's probably Charlotte Flair.
No, Charlotte Flair is better than Ric Flair.
I show me where she's drawn more money than her daddy.
Money.
I'm talking about the way the business used to be before this guaranteed downside guarantee shit. I'm talking about when you had to be a wrestler like Rick did, where you drew simply on the house. How much the house made is how much you got paid. Not this shit here where everybody has a contract and it's a guarantee. No, I'm talking about when they used to have to go and they used to have to put asses in the seats. When Rick was carrying companies on his back. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not the same thing, dude.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. It definitely is. And honestly, I give Charlotte a leg up on that.
Have you ever been behind the scenes of a wrestling company to actually know how it is to actually say that right now?
No, but I'm telling you.
So how is it the same thing?
Because
it's not.
What Charlotte Flair has done for the women's division, not only in WWE, but all of cross wrestling, is leaps and bounds, dude. Leaps and bounds. She is the face of that shit. The face.
So if she was the face of it, then who the fuck were Trish Stratus and Jazz and Victoria and all the rest of it and Gail Kim? Who the fuck were they? If she surpassed what they did?
I'm telling you, Charlotte Flair.
She's the face.
Is the face of women's wrestling right now.
Nope. She's not. The face of women's wrestling right now is Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. They're the faces of women's wrestling right now.
That's because Charlotte isn't there.
When Charlotte was there, Bianca and
Charlotte
Becky
was
were
the
the
face.
faces. They were the faces. Charlotte's not even, and I said a minute ago, I said Charlotte has will be close to filling her father's footsteps. You said she was better than Rick. My point.
Rick will tell you she's better than him. Ric
I
Flair
don't see
will
that.
tell you Charlotte Flair is better.
Ric Flair will also tell you that tomorrow he didn't like Bret Hart, and then I like them next week.
Okay.
That's like me.
Again.
That's like me saying some bullshit and saying, "Oh man, you know what? Damn it! Hey, that Buff Bagwell, that dude should have been a world heavyweight champion. You see that how I can lie, and that's bullshit. Bullshit.
Okay. All right.
Now, what I will say is this. I'd like to see Dominic get better in the ring. I want to see the match between him and his daddy. But I don't want to see him in a situation where his daddy has to carry the whole fucking match because he don't know what he's doing. That's what I'm saying. Is that match going to be big time when they do it? Absolutely. Father versus son? Yes, that's going to be tremendous when they do it. Absolutely. But and I like the Judgment Day. But at the same time, dude, he's the weakest link in the Judgment Day. He's like the Virgil of the Judgment Day.
God damn. That's harsh.
Yeah, I know.
We'll have to revisit this conversation later.
That damn right we'll have to revisit it. No, I take that back. Dominic's not lonely, so I'll take that back. Now, if it was a situation where he was actually, and this was a shoot, and then he was actually, getting in between those cheeks of Rhea Ripley, and that's a different story. You know what I mean? If he was actually, but it's sports entertainment.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
That'd be a different story. Yeah. But other than that, I got nothing else. We'll definitely have to revisit this. We'll have to revisit this discussion here.
Yeah,
because we need to really analyze. I mean, they could have gave Dom the LWO. You know what I mean? That would have been better. Hey Dom, you're gonna leave the LWO. You're gonna force your father to wear a t-shirt. Something like that.
wow.
Not have him out there. Not have him out there trying to be some gothic fucking vampire or whatever the fuck they're doing with the Judgment Day. All right. He could have just basically said, hey, listen, you're going to be the leader of the LWO. You're going to have to try to recruit your father. We're going to rehash this whole angle we did in WCW with Eddie and Ray. You could have done that.
Yeah, that's true.
But not
Or a
having come out
version
there
of that.
Exactly. Not having come out there being a vampire.
All right. I'll agree with you there. And on that note, I have nothing else.
I got nothing else either, so I got 2 words for you. Never mind.
Those are the 2 words you had? Oh, man. So you going to hit your catchphrase?
People. It's cold outside, right? we're going through about to hit winter and all that in a little while, and it's raining outside. It's cold. Help control the pet population out there. Have your pet spayed or neutered, and if you don't want if you think it's a good idea to, Mary, let's go to the pound tomorrow. Let's go pick out a dog for Christmas. Let's get one. Yeah, let's do that. And you go in there and get a little puppy, and he looks all nice and whoop-de-whoop and all that. And then, I'm tired of that damn dog out there with his noise and shitting all over the floor. I want to get rid of it. Well, I don't want to take it back to the pound. Oh, don't worry about that. We'll just dump it in the neighborhood somewhere and get rid of it. You ought to be dragged into jail by your balls when you do that shit.
Right by the balls.
By the balls. So here's the deal. Help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed or fucking neutered, or don't get them at all. How about that? And that's the end of it.
Exactly. That's exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. So, for Frank D, for Black Mac, for No Gimmicks, for DFPN, thank y'all for tuning in. Come back in next time. Till then, peace.